All right, so time now for my banner. Well, some 2,000 national service persons will be working in the sanitation sector this year. They're expected to gather data under the urban sanitation module from households on sanitation practices and other vital information. Sanitation, of course, has for years been a problem for us, especially in the capital. So is this move by the National Service Scheme the answer to all our sanitation woes? I've been joined in the studio by the PRO for the National Service Scheme, Ambrose Entua Jr., and a sanitation air and water expert, Ben Arthur. First of all, Ambrose will help us to know exactly what they're hoping to achieve with this move. You're welcome, gentlemen, to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start off with this new model. Sounds like a great idea, if you ask me, especially looking at the huge sanitation problem that we have, which even the sanitation day doesn't seem to be addressing. But really, what's the target? What's the realistic target that's achievable, if I should ask, from the NSS?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let's understand it from this point that the young men and women deployed will not be directly involved in management of waste, so to speak. I've said this because of some misconceptions out there. It's important for us to understand that these people are being deployed purposefully to collect data. I'm sure experts like my big brother here will understand that management of sanitation is a problem across the world. Now, we were inspired by the work that has been done by our predecessors, ministries, agencies, other individuals, especially His Excellency the President and his vice, who have been involved in sanitation.
That's something that I'll come to much later, because a lot of people have criticized that move and said that, well, if we're really managing our institutions well, it shouldn't take the president or the vice president to get on the street to do bola collection. But anyway,
I'll not comment on that
but you finish your point, so and then we'll come back to it.
We were motivated by that, that if these two big gentlemen could be involved in that, the laws of National Service Scheme allow us to move into areas where we have not ventured into over the years. So we just need a board approval to ensure that we go into those models. So this year we introduced two new models, the urban traffic management and urban waste management. So we thought that, why? Let's collect data, because there has been the program to distribute waste bins across the country, and there's ongoing project to distribute about 2 million more. But what is important is to do some kind of research and find out where are necessary to be involved in the distribution, whether what has been done already has any impact at all before you even think of expanding. So these are the things that we considered, and we felt that with this new idea of getting every first Saturday of the month, almost every Ghanaian involved in sanitation, why don't we push our young men into these areas and collect data so we can help our people to know where to be focused in terms of waste management. So
what are you assessing? You're assessing the National Sanitation Program Day, or you're assessing sanitation generally?
Generally, we're actually looking at the distribution of the waste bins in households and how effective this has been and the impact, whether there's a need for us to expand to which other areas. Let us not forget that now we are looking at urban centers. Is it prudent for us to move into other areas? You go to some villages, or most of the villages, they don't have waste bins. They burn their rubbish. And even in some urban centers, some people have dug holes in their houses and they bury them there, and some of them will burn them and all that. Is it the right thing to do? So the service personnel are being trained now. They have special iPad installed with some software application. Now they'll be able to collect data with some kind of structured questionnaire for those who are already involved in the waste bin program, and see the results that will inform policymakers to know whether we should go ahead or expand or change direction. So that is exactly what the service person will be
So
doing.
basically, they'll be doing research. I'll come back to you, Mr. Nche, but let me come to you, Mr. Arthur. Does this, as a sanitation expert, I mean, the problems of our sanitation, we know. Because when you put any person, you put the officials of the AMA on any platform, they'll go on and on and on about the problem. We know the problem. Is this necessary?
Thank you for having me, and good morning to our viewers. Necessary, well, I don't think I'm the one to say whether it's necessary.
From your assessment as an expert.
But the issue here is, when you started, when you made reference to His Excellency, the fact there are existing institutions and why should they need for them. Yes, there are existing institutions. The Environmental Health Directorate, who has a responsibility for sanitation, have staff across the country. And every MMDA has a unit, environmental health unit, who are responsible for all these household things that they should be doing. So why don't you build on the existing structure and use the existing institution to do it? Why do you want to bring in additional element to come and do it?
And in this case, the additional element is the national service.
The national
personnel.
service to come in.
You think we should just build on the existing structures?
Even that, as we speak now, there is a backlog of students from the environmental hygiene schools. About 3-year backlog who have not been pulled into the system. Basically have not been employed into the system. They are sitting in our homes and all those things.
Right.
So these are the issues some of us are looking at
with this particular
module.
Okay, that's one module, and we have the PRO here, so that's definitely a question to you.
Yes, that is a genuine question, but of course if we want to expand it, then we would also say that perhaps we do not need to deploy people to schools to teach, because we have teachers. We have people who have come out of the universities, we have people who have come out of the training colleges. We always have shortfalls, manpower shortfalls. It's across the board. It's everywhere. What is important is that the sanitation students are specially trained for a particular purpose. These people are going to do research and feed the system. The information would even help them to be able to do what they are supposed to do. For those who are sitting at home, like my big brother has said, it is not our responsibility to employ them. What we are doing...
But it is not your responsibility.
If you allow me, what we are doing is to augment. We are going to augment the work that they should be doing. And of course, I'm not sure that even the numbers they have can cut across the whole country. If we are talking about the numbers, we are deploying over 69,000 people every year.
But sorry, let me get this right. You say that there's a backlog of students from the hygiene schools who have not been employed, correct? So these people have not been employed. They are basically wasting away, if you ask me. So if we need people to deal with sanitation, it's only logical that we go back to them and bring them in. Even if we need to help, like you're saying, you are augmenting the system.
Exactly.
So you can still rope them in.
Yes.
We haven't even thought of that.
Yes, of course. I do agree. I stated that I understand that point. We are dealing with our issue from our point. We are not supposed to be employing them. It is not our responsibility as a national service scheme.
But it is the national service scheme is supposed to help them, place them, and supposed to give them a sense of patriotism to give back to society.
Yes,
is that correct?
I'm coming. I'm coming. When you complete your tertiary education, you are enrolled into national service. You do national service for 1 year, and you go back into the society, into the world of work. Every year, a new group of people will come. Policymakers will have to apply whatever opportunities are there to absorb the people into the mainstream. Now, when we finish with national service postings and they do their national service, they gain all the kind of experiences. Some of them are absorbed into the system. Others go out and look for their own jobs. But then the responsibility lies with us to ensure that the next group of people come, we will absorb them and then place them accordingly. What I'm saying is that, I don't know the numbers of those who are at home maybe 2, 3, 4 years back.
Do we have the numbers, Mr. Addo?
Not as
right
I
now.
sit here.
Right.
So I cannot even tell. If we had the numbers, then we could make the comparison. We have deployed about 2,000 people. They may be the same number or even less or even more, depending. But then, if we are told, for instance, by the state that, okay, absorb these people into national service and impose them, why not? We will do that. We are posting nurses.
Do you need to be told to do this? You don't have that.
There are guideline policies. National service is governed by a board. If you look at our act, we don't just post people, and we cannot just go and bring any person and come and post. We don't do that. Previously, we were not posting nurses. Now we are posting nurses and then health workers. Okay,
let's try and limit this discussion to the sanitation issue. And we spoke about the fact that we know the problems. Now you say that they're going to do research. Often people do research and the results end up on the shelves. To what end? And what's the strategy we have in place to ensure that this doesn't become, you know, a shelved kind of research?
Well, I don't believe this will be. We have collaborated, and we are still collaborating with other agencies, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, the National Waste Bin Distribution Program, now been, and the Melkia Investment Limited. These are private institutions that are collaborating, and they have their own operating systems.
They're not doing so for free, right?
Of course, but they are training our people for free. We are not paying them for that. What we are going to do is to pay the service.
But they're going to benefit at the end of the day.
Is there anything wrong if there is an institution that is prepared to collaborate with them?
Definitely not.
Exactly. So they go into
but also an important part of the discussion.
Yeah, sure. But the point I'm making is that if we have gone into discussion with any agency to help our young people build up their capacity in the first place to do research, and that would also help the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development in looking at or assessing waste management in the country. They are even spending so much money in the training processes, and that one is not coming from us.
Well, there's nothing like a free lunch. There's nothing like a free lunch. But I'll come back to you. Let's bring Mr. Arthur. Let's bring Mr. Arthur into the discussion. And sorry that we're doing a lot of across the table talk. But that's because they need to answer these questions for us. I mean, we are paying them to do this job for us.
I'm enjoying it.
So do we need research? I mean, you've spoken about whether or not it's necessary to, bring the national service in. But he's saying that the national service personnel, we're bringing them in to basically do research and give us an idea as to what to do. I mean, I have a problem with that as well. But let me find out from you as an expert. Do we need this kind of research?
Research in every country or institution, research is an ongoing thing. So definitely we need a research. But it's for the purpose and the necessity of that research. That is what is important. You see, one of the critical challenges we have in this country is when we do things disjointedly.
Right.
And that is because if you want information on sanitation, whether it's basic sanitation, what refers to fecal management or solid waste, all the data information are available. The information, our sector is one of the sectors which have up-to-date information on sanitation. It's making reference to bins that were distributed. I mean, so for those who have been distributing the bins, what do? They don't take names of people they give to.
They just go and
Zoom Lion and other private service providers going around and evacuating, cutting from the bins.
And and
they collect money. So what is their database? So if we don't have that information, then what is the basis for their operation? So do you need additional information? Why don't you bring all of them together, give us the information that you have, let's take it, let's cross-reference. Why do you have to go back and do this thing again?
Mr. Echa, I think it's a very valid point. Very valid point.
There is a saying in Akan, and I'm not doing anything. It may not apply.
That can be debated. That can be debated. And I'm not doing why me say.
It's not true. Otherwise, our predecessors will not. But that is not even the point.
Right.
The point is that, you see, let us not look at it from only one side of the coin. I mentioned research not only for one particular purpose. Sanitation, I'm sure you will agree, is multifaceted. We are even looking at households. We are looking at maybe planning. City planning is even important. And he agreed that there is a need for continuous research. Now, if, for instance, an NGO or any independent body decides to do research without recourse to government, I don't think there's anything wrong.
Well, that's not our money, but with government, it is our money.
Exactly.
It is our resources, and so we need to be careful how we spend it.
Exactly. I'm saying that this is a partnership between the scheme and the user agencies and those who are actually supporting. The important point here is that we've done street naming, and I'm sure local government, those assemblies and others could have been tasked to do those kind of things, but we use other people to support. There's always a need to support. There's nothing wrong if service personnel decide that let us support in this area. That's not, that is our opinion.
Well,
now,
definitely there's nothing wrong.
There's one more thing. These people are going to work within the municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies. It is also going to boost the MMDAs, their revenue mobilization program. It's going to boost because, yes, there are institutions that are responsible for, but I did mention earlier that we always have manpower shortfalls, and that is a fact everywhere. That is a fact. If you go to the assemblies, either municipal, metropolitan, whatever, there is always a gap somewhere. That is not everything that can be there. If you go to those areas, ask them how many sanitation officers they have around. Sometimes they themselves will tell that we have a shortfall. Of course, you understand that at a point there's always a freeze in terms of employment and all that. Now we have a basket full of young people who are trained from the universities. And we are saying that let's tap their expertise, train them and push them into this area. It's only important that we allow this thing to go on and then we can do the assessment. Now,
after a year?
After a year. They are going to be there for 1 year. And then we will see what will come out of it. So I do understand that sometimes people are skeptical when new things
when our monies are going to be spent, we need to be sure that it's been spent well.
Oh, sure. This one is not going into the drain at all. Service personnel are going to be paid money to do this kind of work for the state. And we believe strongly that after having done this assessment in terms of our collaboration with the our partners, we know there's going to be something positive out of that. Perhaps if you talk of future now, people may not understand until we get there. But if this was not going to work, we wouldn't have done, because we have done some pilot already. We have piloted it and we came to the conclusion that it is a better way to go. Let's give it a chance and see how we are going to end it up.
I'll come back to you. But Ms. Arthur, right now, from the way the discussion is going, I believe that it's something that the die is cast. It's not something that the National Service Scheme intends to go back on at all. How would you advise, or how would you recommend that they move with this project?
As you said, there is no way they will...
Well, maybe they can tweak it a bit, and maybe they can try and...
the advice, or what we can offer, is that there are already existing structures. And he's saying students coming from the tertiary institution. We have about 3 schools of hygiene institutions in the country, also turning out students. If averagely, all of them even bring out 200 students, it's also a tertiary institution. But
the point he's making is that they cannot employ them. Theirs is to give them the chance to be of service to the country. And so if what those people need are permanent employment, then it's not something that the institution can provide.
But then you also question the sustainability of whatever they want to do now. How are they going to sustain it?
Well, the service personnel will have to be paid. But usually, if you put service personnel in the company supports.
It's a private institution. Yes, they take up the allowances.
They take up the allowance.
If it's a public institution, that we pay them.
So you're going to pay them.
Yes, but let me add this one before I forget. With your apologies. You see, all students coming out from tertiary institutions enroll onto national service, and we place them and we deploy them accordingly.
Including those from the hygiene institutions.
If they have registered through national service. There are some of the institutions, Allied Health, yes, all the Allied Health institutions, we place them. And I indicated that we are posting nurses, we are posting pharmacists, we are posting those who have come, agri institutions, agri colleges, health institutions and colleges. We have placed all of them. Some of them, I do not have the statistics of those from those institutions, but it's even possible that some of them may be included in these 2,000 who have deployed. The deployment process is quite complex, involving a number of, because we look at so many issues. We give people the option to choose the area. There are others who did not choose the area, but we looked at their backgrounds and included them. So I'm saying that possibly what he's been talking about the students who have done hygiene may be included in the number of people who have deployed for the
maybe it's still,
yes, of course, because I do not have the
we're still uncertain about that.
Yeah, I want to be very honest with that, because I'm not in charge of deployment, but I'm saying that when we do deployment, we take all these things into consideration.
So it's possible that we could have some of them there. Well, it's still a bit uncertain. Let me come back to you, Mr. Atta, so that you can finish the point you were making.
Yes, so as I said, if they actually, one of the things we've been, because we also have a platform on the sanitation, this issue has come for discussion. We're wondering the sustainability of the whole system. I mean, how is it going to end? What is the continuation and all those elements? We have to look at it. And he's talking of the gap, that there is a gap at the district. That's why I brought in these people sitting at home.
Right.
If we acknowledge or recognize that there is a gap,
why are they sitting at home? Why are they
sitting at home? Why don't we bring them in, not through national service, but why are they sitting at home? 3-year backlog. Why are they sitting at home?
Right.
And that, because when you are finished with the data that you say you are gathering, you will need somebody to implement the data. So who is going to do that?
Well, maybe after a year, they're going to be employed after a year. But is there a provision to bring these people who have gone to specialized schools that specialize in sanitation? Is there a way?
Because some of the things they're going to training them in to
these
look
people
at.
already
These
know.
people already know.
Mr. Etias, I mean, isn't there an opportunity to rope them in somehow? Maybe they'll be comfortable doing a year's, service as well.
You see, if they have completed their service, we cannot enroll them again for national service for another year. It cannot be done. Our laws now allow national service for only 1 year. So we would, as I indicated, I've said this.
Have the laws been amended?
No,
because I didn't know that you could, request for.
That was for voluntary program.
Voluntary, exactly.
Yes, that was an administrative measure that we took. We have put a voluntary program on hold. So you do your regular national service for 1 year, and that ends it. Now, the issues he's raising, genuine as they may be, I think may be addressed by the Ministry of Health, because they fall directly under the Ministry of Health. I've said that we are complementing the efforts of all the ministries. So we post people to health. If you look at the Act of National Service, the areas that we deploy, agriculture, education, health, they are all there. So otherwise, Ministry of Agriculture question, why are you going into agriculture when we are there? So why don't you allow us to do our own agriculture? Ministry of Education will question the same thing. But if we look at the concept of national service, it doesn't talk about permanent employment of the service person or the young people of the country.
Mr.
So I think give them the opportunity. We are giving them the opportunity to learn some of these things, and most probably some of them may be absorbed into the system. They need the manpower to do the kind of work that he's talking about.
Hopefully so. But Ms. Arthur, would you think that, I think you sit back and you think that, well, putting a group of people like this together, they're going to be posted anyway. Yes. So if we are bringing them together to help deal with the problem that we're having, that we've had for years, a problem as big as sanitation, then it's not bad at all. But would you rather have them do something else? If you were administering the national service, would you want them to do something else rather than the research that the NSS is proposing that they do?
Well, I think the NSS is the institution and they have a choice. But you see, you're also looking at an area. If you say, or if they have found that there is a sanitation gap, there is a gap to be filled in terms of information. And I'm also making reference to the point that in a sector, that is one of the sectors where
information is available.
Information is available.
So what would you have them do right now? Let's say that we've enrolled them already. I mean, we have the national service people. We have 2,000. He says they've deployed 2,000 people out there to go and do research. You say information is already available. What would you rather have them do? Well,
the national service they know the way where they have to put them. I mean, there are other critical sectors.
Within the sanitation sector.
Within the sanitation sector.
Right. What would you rather have them do instead of research?
It's not an issue of research.
What should they do?
Probably they may want to go to the district level and work with the environmental health people at the district in terms of monitoring and all those things.
Is that part of the process?
And the issue there is that one element that we are failing in the sanitation sector is the enforcement.
So that's what they should
if they're going to work with the existing system to enforce, that would be a good area.
Right.
But the enforcement is also not an end in itself, because we're also seeing a situation of interference where there has been limited attempt to enforce the laws. So the issue of visiting the household, the integration of household inspection and all those things. But the way I'm understanding it now, it is focused on where they have provided the bins.
Right, right.
So what is the other areas how we don't have bins?
So that's
and if there is anything at all, probably that is where we have to look at.
We have to look at. But you definitely are not for this kind of model. You're not for it. But if for anything at all, we still have to go on with it, then you think that they should look more at enforcing
and looking at the houses which do not have the bins. Not once. Another element probably they can also introduce. You see, we're talking about the sanitation providing the bin. You give house one bin, but you have glasses, you have plastics.
So sorting out the waste as well.
So the one bin will not solve the problem.
So that's something, so very free consultation for you.
So these are the scope probably they may want to look at.
Right.
But one bin thing, I mean, is not going to help.
Of course, he has answered part of the question. Certainly, when these people have come out with their results, that question will be addressed. It will tell them that, look, households have maybe 2 bins, we need 3 or 4.
Hopefully.
Depending. But let me make this point. See, I did indicate, I'm sure we may have forgotten that. I'm saying that we have National Waste Bin Distribution Program. There's an agency responsible for that, Now They are doing that work.
Okay.
What we are doing is to collaborate with them.
All right.
So why are we not questioning the existence of Now Why haven't we questioned the existence all this while? They have distributed waste bins already. They are in to distribute 2 million more. Why are we not questioning? What we are doing is that to find out whether it is important to control this, even expand it and perhaps distribute 4 million instead of 2 million.
Well, we're known, in this country, we are known for doing research and not implementing, and that's why he's talking about, enforcement. So for him, it's about implementing the things, the
already existing things,
implementing the solutions that we know already. But it's rather unfortunate. This is all time will allow us for. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for passing through. I've been speaking with Ambrose Intua Jr. He is the PRO, the Public Relations Officer for the National Service Secretariat. And I've also been speaking with Ben Atta, who is an expert in water and sanitation. Basically, what we're talking about is the deployment of about 2,000 national service personnel into a new model that is focusing on sanitation. Hopefully it gets better. But Ghana has been touted as one of the dirtiest countries in the world. Hopefully we get through this. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming through.